everyone, it's Mary Polanco from Mary Polanco Designs, and I'm so excited to be here to celebrate the Got Joy Creations holiday card series. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit more detail in just a minute, but I figured let's set us up for the card project here. So I'm going to be making a bunch of cards. So in total I make 5, and I'm going to be pulling out this Christmas Selfies from My Favorite Things. Every year I try to put aside a splurge for myself of a stamp set that I really feel like I'm going to get a lot of use out of for the holidays, and this was it this year. So I'm going to be making some cards that look like Polaroids. So these are selfies that these holiday characters are taking, and this set is adorable. So that's how I'm going to play up this whole theme, and I'm also going to be able to use every single one in my card project. I'm pulling out my stamp chamois to clean up. That was a holder from Make It by Marco. Highly recommended. It keeps my stamp chamois nice and damp as I'm working. So right here, I'm going to make my Polaroid. So I don't have the Polaroid type die that fits perfectly, but you know how a Polaroid is a rectangle, but it's a short rectangle. And so I'm going to be doing some die cutting where I cut it out first, then go back and cut off the bottom. Using my die cutting machine, and now I have this perfect looking Polaroid. And so I have 6 total, but I'm going to be doubling up one of them for a project. The coloring medium I'm going to be using today are my new Ohuhu brush tip alcohol markers. I've been asked about them. I'm an Ohuhu fan. I have the bullet nib of the 120 set. I think they're incredible. I wanted to try the brush, and they're incredible too. The only downside is I'm greedy and I want more colors. So there's only 72 in this set, but they're affordable and I love them. So I'll talk more about that later. Let's talk about this holiday series. Okay, this is Got Joy Creations holiday card series for 2019. Dana has done something incredible. So from November 17th, today, to December 14th, fabulous card designers are going to be popping on this channel along with Dana and sharing lots of ideas and tutorials how to make holiday card designing fun. One thing I love about this is that it's multiple crafters, multiple creators, and so you're getting lots of diverse insight and tips and tricks and just inspiration all the way around. So it's an awesome idea, and I was so flattered and honored that Dana allowed me a spot. So it's going to be so much fun. Okay, so it's a perfect time for you all to pick up some goodies. There's some sponsored companies, there's discount codes, so make sure you hit Dana's notification bell so that you are following along, that you are totally engrossed in this madness of joy, and so that you don't miss anything. There's going to be 20 designers that are joining in, and so like I said, just tons of inspiration. So you want to make sure follow along the series, leave comments on each designer's post or video for a chance to win. There's multiple prizes up for grab, and Dana will be selecting the winners on December 16th. So the more you comment, the better your chances. Keep in mind, though, commenting will close December 14th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, so got that. Participate, win prizes, but the most important thing, get inspired. I can't wait to watch. So you've been watching me here as I blabber on. I've been coloring up my images, and you can see the amazing contrast that I'm getting with these markers. I'm just elated. I'm using Neenah Solar White 80-pound Classic Crest cardstock, and I want to make sure that I just pick a good cardstock that I know will work well with alcohol markers. And I'm just using, I think it was Lawn Fawn's Jet Black ink, so that I don't get any, bleeding with the black ink. It's appropriate for alcohol markers. I'm popping around a bunch with my coloring here, and it's super sped up because I wanted to keep it in, but I didn't want this video to take 3 hours. So I'm popping around, and I'm just showing you how I colored up things of that color scheme. So not all the reds, I didn't show you, I showed you one, not all the greens, etc. So you can kind of watch different things. I did also use some Arteza skin tone markers. I get asked a lot if I mix my alcohol markers, and the answer is a big resounding yes, I do. You can, right here, I'm keeping to Arteza for the skin tone, but I can mix any alcohol marker that I have. They all work well together. I haven't found an issue, but that's just me. Other people may, but for me, I can mix and match. So I'm going to do that. The skin tone markers from Arteza are a great find. If you are looking for more of a variety of skin tones and also animal tones, because they could be used for skin and fur of different types of animals, I would highly recommend that set. It's amazing. Okay, so here I'm showing you my green mix here. The one thing I kind of pushed myself into for this, the coloring of these projects, is to really just go with the darker colors. I'm so afraid of those darker colors. I feel like it's going to ruin my project, and you can see here I'm really stepping outside of that fear and into some really good blending. And so I would highly recommend, if you are scared of the dark, take a scrap piece that you know you're going to throw away and just go for it and see what you can learn from that process. Because I really wanted to get contrast. My marker coloring just hasn't been exciting to me lately. You know, I've just been kind of like, why doesn't it not look like there's a lot of shading? And the point is that I need to just not be afraid anymore. So I did, and I used a lot of contrast in this coloring, and I'm pretty happy with it. So there's 4 of this color scheme. I stuck with the traditional red, green, yellow type things. I'm going to work on some grays here. And so I think when I started this Santa, I thought, boy, this is a little bit too dark of a gray. However, alcohol markers fade back a little bit. Not as much as watercolors, in my opinion, but they do fade back a little bit. So if you put down too much color, give it a minute, let it dry, then go back and see what you're working with. And that'll give you a much better idea of if you need to make any adjustments. It's tricky when you're coloring white, because you think of stark white as white, and if you put anything onto it, you're going to make it look dirty or just not what it's meant to be. But for those of us who are stuck in that fear loop, we really need to get out of that and just give it a go. We see people on YouTube all the time coloring in this way. Why wouldn't it work for us? So that's my encouragement message for today, is let's just jump in. Let's have a good time. Let's experiment. That's what it's all about at the end of the day. Okay, so I am going to color up some more here. I think the best thing to do here is to color your colored pieces first. So the scarves, the hat, the nose. And this way, when you go back to, or when you move on to doing the grays for the white pieces, it doesn't look so contrasting. I think that's the best way to say it. But either way, just go with it and see what you can come up with. Again, pulling in some of those skin tones. So these are skin tones from the Arteza. I only stuck with the skin tone Arteza and the 72 set of Ohuhu brush tip for my coloring. I didn't use any other alcohol markers. And believe me, I have a lot of other alcohol markers. Some might say I have a problem. I just call myself a collector. So I'm going to keep these 2 right here a very soft palette. I wanted this to just be a very pastel and wintry fun type of scene for these guys. There's nothing too bold here, and I was just inspired to do that. All my cards are going to be photographed together, so if you like to keep everything succinct, and like if you were going to do all these and maybe give them out as a present or a set, then maybe stay a little bit more on the same color scheme. But for me, all these cards are going out separately, so it matters not. I am taking a whiteout pen here, and I'm going to be using it for really fat snowdrops. And the fun thing about this whiteout pen is it's not intended, but when I'm pressing down, I'm getting not a perfect circle. And it's almost looking like a snowflake. So it actually worked out that it's not doing what I wanted initially it to do. So I go back in with a white gel pen and add some really tiny drops, and that's my snow for that one. For these 2, I am going to design these 2 cards to sit on gray cardstock, but I want to put down my sentiment and I want to put down my actual Polaroid picture first before I finish it off. I'm going to use some Versafine Clair Nocturne ink to get my sentiment. Have your selfie. Merry Little Christmas. I'm here for the puns, people. I love a good pun. And I'm going to place that down. Everything's going to be flat. And the reason it's going to be flat is because of what I'm going to do next for these two cards. Putting a little bit of that purple tape on the back to hold it down to my surface. I'm going to use a Simon Says stamped Snowflake stencil and or snow stencil, and I'm going to place on some Nuvo Moonstone paste. It's very like haphazard. It's not all over exactly. It's kind of just in the center of, and that was really good enough for me. I just kind of wanted to have some fun with that. On these cards, I pulled out some cardstock, some paper, pattern paper I had in my stash. I'm trying to use up, and I just cut those down with my Lawn Fawn rectangle stitched dies, and I'm going to just place my cards. It's okay if it hangs off a little bit because this pattern paper is cut down to smaller than an A2 size, so there is going to be a little bit of room for me to work with. I'm going to get sentiments for these three cards using some black cardstock, my anti-static powder bag, and my mini MISTI, and then some Versamark sticky ink. We're going to stamp out these sentiments. I love to do this with a set when I'm making multiple cards. I feel like it's very time saving to do a lot at once. And I wanted to have different sentiments. So that's why I opted to do the heat embossing type. Or you can just stamp them in black on white cardstock and cut them out. But I'm going to heat set using my Wagner heat tool here. Make sure your heat tool is nice and warmed up prior to doing that. I did bubble cut all my cards, or all my sentiments. Bubble cutting is just what I mean by cutting around the sentiment so that you have the sentiment as the highlight, so it's not a rectangle or square. And I liked this small sentiment right here for the middle one. There's no one elf like you, because I didn't want the sentiment to cover any of those pictures. I thought those pictures were super fun. I'm going to take out a sparkle pen. Now I'm going to be doing some final embellishments for these cards. So a sparkle pen, I'm going to be using some Stickles for the bells. I'm going to be, I do take my white gel pen and clean up some marks that I might have gotten some areas, such as like the eyeballs. I think I got a little bit of ink inside the eyeballs and some of those other, maybe his beard, things like that. But again, some gold Stickles and some silver Stickles just to add a little bit of some final touching here. I did use a stencil on the little elf up there, and I masked off that. I didn't leave that in the video, but I did do that. You'll see in the close-up. I'll talk about that in a second. So here are some close-ups of these projects. I had a blast with this set. So fun. MFT knocked it out of the park with this to make fun, exciting, punny, and really good images to color up. Right here I wanted to slow it down just a minute and show you, in case you were curious, how I did this. So I actually masked off the ornament and him, the elf, and then I masked off the Polaroid as well, so that I only had that center portion. I took a Trinity Stamps layered stencil, and I made that tree in the background. So that was a lot of fun, super fun technique. I'll be doing that in some more videos over on my channel, just to kind of have some fun with backgrounds. But don't forget to follow along for Got Joy Creations Holiday Card Series for 2019. We are going to have so much fun. Don't forget to comment, and commenting for prizes will close December 14th at 11:59 Eastern Standard Time, and announcements of winners will be December 16th. I want to wish you all a fabulous holiday season. I hope you're finding lots of joy in whatever you decide to do. If you'd like to see more from me, you can follow me over on my channel at Mary Polanco Designs, and I love to hear from you, so comment below if you have any questions, and we'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.